So the Central Bank of Nigeria today issued new guidelines that seek to liberalize money transfers through wire service companies such as Western Union and Moneygram. The new procedure will enable recipients of foreign exchange transfers in Nigeria to receive their funds in the foreign currency indicated by the sender and no longer in the local currency, the Naira. Shedding more light on this is Dr. Ozoemena Nnaji, Director in charge of Trade and Exchange at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Good evening, madam, and thank you for coming on the program this evening.
Good evening, boss. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate your coming on the program. Thank you so much. Give us more insight into these new guidelines regarding, first, the international money transfers into Nigeria.
Well, boss, we're liberalizing that sector of the market because we want people to have fair market value for their money. We want to have inflows coming. We want some transparency in that sector, and we want Nigerians to get value for the money that their families, their mothers, their relatives are sending to them from abroad. We have about 65 licensed IMTOs in Nigeria. About half of them are flowing money into the country. And we just want to make sure that Nigerians and Nigerians in diaspora that are working hard to send their money back home are getting the value for their money. So we decided to liberalize that sector. We want money to flow into this economy so that people can get value for their money. Can you imagine your brother or your sister living in the US and he's sending money to you here? He can send it through the IMTO organizations, or you can send it through your bank account, and you collect that money in dollar value so that you can do transfer, or you can change it whenever and however you want to use the money for. So our aim is to liberalize the market, increase liquidity in that market, and to introduce some transparency into that market. Nigeria is one of the markets that has the highest cost of inflows into as rate for transfers. So we want people to get value for their money, and we want really to liberalize the market.
But what are the broader issues that the central bank want to achieve by the stroke of this new procedure? Yes, we want to liberalize, but the central bank has been talking about exchange rate and all of that. So how will the new regulation or guideline procedure, how will it work in relations to the bureau de change operators?
This policy will also help unify the markets, the exchange rate market, because what's happening now is that the bureau de change market that segment charges a high amount of money, dollar value per dollar. And when you have more inflows into the country in dollar value, it will help bring down the BDC rates down, and it will also help solidify or unify the rates in the market, so we don't have multiple currency rates, that we have a unified rate that is operable in the country.
So how critical is diaspora remittances? What has the central bank noticed in the way these diaspora remittances have been coming into the country? And what does it really mean? For example, if I get an inflow in US dollar terms, can I elect to collect it in pound sterling, for example, or any other currency of my choice?
Inflows, diaspora inflow is an important inflow into this economy. It's an important sector that funds our dollar availability. We are saying for now, if you get your money, because US dollar is the currency that we have readily available in the banking sector, you can collect your money in US dollars. We don't want to have a place where we can say you can collect in yen, you can collect in Saudi Arabia, Naira, or you can collect in British currency. We're just saying you can collect in dollars for now, because dollar is what we have readily available in the banking sector, or you can collect the Naira equivalent of whatever the exchange rate is in the dollar, if you choose it to.
So how will the Bureau de Change operators, because there's a regulation, a process in which you can, the Bureau de Change operators can buy from the IMTOs, then sell to the end users. Would this cut off the Bureau de Change from this value chain?
No, the Bureau de Change will still be in operation. The Bureau de Change actually don't buy from IMTOs currently. It's the central bank that supplies dollar liquidity to the Bureau de Change sector of the economy. So this policy would really not have any effect on the Bureau de Change. The only effect it will have, though, is that it will help unify rates. There will be more dollar availability in the economy so that we don't have dollar scarcity because the inflows were now being collected in dollar. So there will be more dollar and there will be Bureau de Change rates. We actually expect it to come down based on this policy.
But how this liberalization, how will it play into the bigger foreign exchange policy focus and actions of the central bank, which of course includes also the exporters and importers window?
Our hope is that this policy will actually recycle itself, and that some of this money will end up in the I&E window, like you just said. Some of this money will end up in the I&E window. Some of it might end up in the Bureau de Change sector, because the individual can take his money, his or her money that has been inflowed from abroad, take into the BDC market and exchange and get dollar Naira liquidity. So some of it might flow into the BDC sector, some might flow into the I&E window, because they will all recycle itself. There will be liquidity in that system. The system will be more liquid and more deep, that we won't have dollar scarcity like we're experiencing now, especially in the both in the BDC sector, and it will also recycle itself in the I&E window.
So if you kindly clarify the directive around the operations of domiciliary accounts, both for exporters and individuals.
For export proceeds, of course, the exporters have access to their domiciliary accounts. They have access, especially for their business operations. They can use the money they earn to pay for their business operations. But any extra from that money, they can sell to the I&E window so that they'll be liquid in that market. When also they want, and if they don't have dollar liquidity, they can go to the I&E window to fund their business operations that need dollar liquidity. For ordinary DOM account, if your inflow is through wire transfer or electronic transfer, you can transfer, you can withdraw cash based on our circular today on that account. But if the inflow, if you lodge cash liquidity in your domiciliary account, the policy still remains the same, that you can draw a certain amount of money from that, but or you can transfer a certain amount of money from that, but there's a limit based on extant regulations.
Okay, we thank you so much. We will see the market will be taking this on board as we move forward. Thank you so much for speaking with us, Dr. Nnaji, Director, Trade and Exchange at the Central Bank of Nigeria. Do have a great evening.